Hello and welcome to In Conversation with Creatives. Today we are starting off with a brand new podcast series where I talk to people from the creative industry. For episode 1, I have with me Miss Renuka Neelagandan. She's an award-winning public relations consultant. Her work has been awarded twice at the Sabre Awards, which are the world's largest PR awards program. So let's jump right in. So thank you for coming on the show, Renuka. I am delighted to have you here.
Thank you, Arun, for having me here.
So
And
I was
very good to
looking
see
up.
you.
Same here. It's nice to see you again. So I was looking up your, LinkedIn profile, and I found that you have a very interesting career that you have had till now. So you studied at NIT Karnataka, and then you were an airline failure analyst, and then you went to Symbiosis Pune, and then you sort of got started with PR. So can you tell us
Yes.
more about it and that shift in career, and then what it's been like till now?
Sure, Arun. So, NITK was a very interesting course, of course, the engineering. And back then, when parents did not know what to put, either engineering or doctor, so they said, Chalo, usko engineering mein dalte hain. And so when I finished my engineering, I kind of realized that probably it's not my cup of tea, especially not in India. And computer is something that I cannot deal with. So when that happened, I finished college. Then I went to London. My brother was graduating there. Very interestingly, I'm sure you would know of the brand Airbnb.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So Airbnb got legalized in London. Okay, that was in 2014, if I'm not wrong. So when this happened, they were running a marketing campaign. It was a boat house which was running on the backwaters of River Thames. Okay, I was there for a week and I did not understand what the entire houseboat thing is about. So when I googled to check what's Airbnb about, and that's when that was my first time I saw something like PR campaigns or marketing campaigns existed. That felt pretty interesting for me. Then that's when I realized, okay, when people want to connect with their customers, there is other way to connect, and it's just not advertising. So when I got back to India, then I wrote my snap, then I gave my CMB, and then I got into Symbiosis Pune. Pretty 2 good years. Wonderful place. And of course, that's how I landed in PR. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from my professors there. Then had factors. I directly jumped to Bangalore. And it's almost been 3.5 years now in Bangalore. And going really great.
So you completed your symbiosis degree and then you went to Ogilvy, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. This was during my MBA. So this was my internship course where
Okay.
you had to. You were getting interviewed by different companies, and I got through Ogilvy, and so I that's how I started my career off, probably to understand a little more about PR.
Was it hard to get into Ogilvy? Like from what I understand, Ogilvy is a really hard place to get into, and you got into that. So
So I'll tell you, I think around 10 to 15 people applied, and 4 got through. I was the
okay,
only one in PR, and there
okay,
were 3 other in the advertising. So Ogilvy Bangalore, it had both advertising and PR.
okay,
So not too difficult, but then probably I think maybe I'd have been a little lucky with a couple of questions.
okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So before I proceed any further, can you explain to us what PR actually means? Like what it's at its core? Like there's a lot of misconceptions about what PR is and what it is not. So could you help us with that?
Sure. So I'll tell you, Arun. So when most of the time, even now, okay, with my parents, when I tell them what I'm doing, they still don't understand. Okay, it's like I have to do PR at my home making them understand what I do. Okay, so not many people actually know of something called PR exists. So they know advertising because they see a lot of advertisement, TV commercials on the TV, so they understand advertising. But PR is something where people connect, or the brands connect with their customers indirectly, something to do more with your psychological kind of connect. So if, for example, if I land to Bangalore and if I am trying to buy a property, okay, when I have to choose between Shobha or Prestige, so I would go with somebody that has more reputation. So I wouldn't trust the advertising. So advertisement is like, it's on the face marketing where it just paid for, but PR is something you earn. So when I say I will probably choose Shobha over Prestige, then that's the reputation, the little bit of marking that gets in for you to decide which brand that you want to choose. And that's where we play a big role. And so that is PR is something that's going to take a long time for a brand, to develop. Not somebody would suddenly trust and say, okay, fine, okay, Renuka started a brand, so I'm going to trust and put all my money in there. That won't happen. It's a very, very gradual process, and brands have started to, understand that PR is a very, very important factor for any brand to grow. More than advertising, I think it's the importance of somebody having money to, put in their PR budget is probably going to pick up in the next few months. And now with Corona and the pandemic, people want to kind of cut down their budget on advertising and want to put more money in PR.
Okay.
So,
So PR is more like
so that,
building the word of mouth association, right? Like so
yes,
people
yes, yes.
start talking about it.
So you get, the brand gets visibility, the brand gets, the reputation. They want to be the number one in their domain, if they want to say. So for example, if a brand comes to us and then tells us that, hey, this is my a strategy of looking at my brand, and this is the brief I'm giving you. I want to be the number one guy in Bangalore in the next 10 months. So if this is the brief they give, so we're going to roll out plans along with the media, of course. So media is a key factor for us to decide which brand is taking the highest share of voice. So that's something that we do with the team. So whenever the client gives us a brief, and if they want to, tell them that we want to be the number one in the next 10 months, the plan that we want to give out.
Okay, got
So
it.
a lot of work goes into working with media. Um, and more of media relations. Media relations is a very, very big factor that plays.
Got it. So your work has been awarded at Sabre Awards, if I'm not wrong, if I'm pronouncing that right, and which is the world's largest PR awards program. So can you take us through one of your projects that you have done in the past, so that we can get a better understanding of how this works?
Sure. Okay. So Sabo Asia Pacific Award was for one of our clients. We won this for one of our clients called Nova IVF Fertility. It's into IVF chain, and so they are probably the first one or two top chains in the country. Okay, and when I have me and my team, and we were working together, uh, what we realized, so our immediate spokesperson that we would talk is the doctors, the consultants. So when we spoke to them, the kind of stories they want us to drive was very, very interesting. And the campaign that we drew for Nova, it said busting the infertility myths was one of the campaigns that we worked on, and your better half's bitter truth. So in India, okay, mostly when somebody says that they can't conceive, they immediately they point out the woman. They're saying that woman has a problem and the man is absolutely fine. So we wanted to break this myth and say that, hey, the man can also be responsible. So we drew a lot of stories on male infertility. And surprisingly, 60% of the factors in infertility is because of the male. So this campaign, we won gold for this, and we drew a lot of stories in a span of 24 months. So that was the campaign around, and very, very effective campaign.
Great. That seems really impressive, yeah. So, since you have done this so many times, what do you think is one of the single most important focus of a good PR strategy? Like, what should one really focus on?
Okay, so I'll tell you where you can go wrong in making a PR strategy. Probably you don't understand your audience. Okay, that's one of the major factors where you fail as a PR, a person or a consultant. And second is you don't understand who you can offend. For example, I remember very clearly. I remember I was in college, and Lenskart during the Nepal earthquake, event. It said it sent a campaign on SMS saying "shake it off" and something of that sort. That offended a lot of people. And they had to take back their hashtag. So that is one key factor when you're deciding. You cannot just think, "Acha ye acha lag raha hai, to I'm gonna put this out on viral media." You get trolled on Twitter.
True, true.
Okay, so yes, and so if you're coming up with a plan, you need to speak to your spokesperson. You need to speak to your leadership. For example, if the CEO is a spokesperson, you need to make him, sit with you probably for a couple hours, and then get the brief properly done. Okay, and then create a strategy, and then think if it will work or not work. So that should actually help any PR consultant to put his messaging together, and then probably the campaign will be a very successful one.
Great, yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. So, how important do you think PR is for any company, and when is the ideal time for a company to invest in PR? Is it when they get started off, or when they are funded, or like what do you think is the best time?
So I think the best time is all time.
Okay.
I would probably, if I have a little money left, then probably I'm going to spend that on PR. Okay, I want probably say advertising is going to cost me a lot, but then the results I may or may not get. But in PR, it's a sure shot that you will reach there.
Okay.
Okay, and then so PR is something it's going to grow very slowly around. To be very honest,
Something
so
like
if you
SEO,
want to
right? You
start.
do it today and then you'll see the results, say, a year from now. That's how you sort of expect it.
Yes, absolutely. And at least there in digital marketing, you have, this number of clicks that you kind of get through, and then you'll know how many people clicked. But in PR, you cannot read people's mind because the news is out there and you don't know how many people actually consumed.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
the word of mouth, for example, is one of the PR strategies that people do on maybe say viral messages, etc. It's all little part of bits and part of PR. But PR takes a very long time, and the ideal time for anyone to invest is if you have money, invest it. That's the only suggestion I would give for any brand. Say, for example, if it's a startup, okay, and then they've just started out, and if they're completed the Series A, then they can probably get into PR so that they can, find investors through the PR activities that they're done and get into, say, Series B, C. That's all happening because of some PR you have done. So we have few couple of startups where they have gotten funding because of PR, not
Okay.
because of advertising.
All right.
So I think PR is a very, very important factor that any brand should not neglect. So they should put in a lot of budget and make sure that your PR does a good job to you.
Or
Mm.
also, you spoke about, say, how digital marketing you can count the number of clicks, and so when you go to a company and say tell them that you will do the PR for them, is there a guarantee that you give them that this is what we are going to give for you, or is it purely based on your past reputation that you've done this in the past, so they should trust you? So how does it work? Is there a way to measure success, or is it based on your past reputation that they should trust you to do the work for them?
Are you talking of the PR measurement itself or the brand that is pitching to a company?
I would say the PR measurement itself. So, if you do a PR activity, how do you measure the success of it? And with that success, do you use that to pitch to other companies as well? I hope that makes sense. What I'm saying.
Okay. Probably I'll give you a larger picture.
Okay.
So PR is something you will probably measure after a very long time.
Okay.
It's like, farming. You kind of put the seed. You cannot immediately expect the tree to grow in the next morning. Probably in advertising it will work. When you put out a page one national advertising on Times of India, you will get calls. The next day or the day after, you will get calls. But the calls won't sustain, is what I'm saying. Probably they'll call you to inquire, but not buy the product. Okay, but PR is something where people come to you because they want to buy the product. You won't go to a real estate or a builder saying that I'm trying to, check out, but then let me also get back. You will go because you want to buy. And if that answers your question, so it's same. Likewise, if there's a company that's put in money for advertising and also PR at the same time, Okay,
Mhm.
there's an ad campaign that's going on, there's a PR campaign that's going on the other side. And if the sales have spiked in a month, you
Mhm.
won't know if it's because of the advertising or because of the PR.
Correct, correct. Yes.
Okay, and it's a very, very tough measurement. Till today, Arun, even the clients ask us, how are you measuring it? We say it's going to take time. We don't know how we want to measure it, but it will work out. It's something promising, saying that you will conceive, some sort of that, but you will definitely get there, is what I can promise. But I'm not going to tell you this is what you want to look like, because I cannot predict the future.
Yes, yes. I
Because
don't
we
think
grow
anyone can do that.
with the company. So if it's a startup, we grow with the startup. So we have a couple of clients who've been there with us for 4 years, and we've been with them from the uh, funding of A till seed, even now, and we're finding more investors, and they say that we've been reading good things about you, so we want to invest in you. This
Got
is
it.
what their investors had told them, and they write mails to us saying this, that thank you for helping us reach here. So
Got
this
it.
is the PR that we look at around.
Got it. Got it. So, if say a company doesn't have a lot of money to invest in PR, is there some small tactics or something they can do to get started with PR?
Yeah, sure. So they don't have to find big agencies per se. They can probably hire gig workers, or say hire freelancers who are into PR, and then maybe that should help them reach at some point, and where they want to, later then probably hire a bigger agency for, depending on the growth of the company. So if my growth is still here, I won't put in too much money or pump in too much money, because I know where I'm going. So if I'm going somewhere too far, okay, and the growth is too much, I know I need a bigger agency. So that's when you pump in, or probably, call for pitches, and then start with your bigger agencies. But till then, they can keep it in-house if they want. So there are a few startups who do it. And I think, I'm not sure if Dunzo has an in-house, but they used to have in-house. They started with the in-house.
Okay.
And if it's like probably say 2-3 members, a team of 2-3, then should be fine. But if you know that you need more people, for example, if there are a lot of spokesperson, and if you want PR to be done separately for each and every one in the leadership team, then you'll need bigger team. So the bigger
Okay.
team, you need to either have it in your own in-house, or you hire somewhere, outsource it. And the reason why people go for agencies is because agencies are, like, probably they're pretty much connected with media, they know who to talk to. So when they know people already, probably they'll invest in some agency where, the reputation is already good, where they think that their PR would actually, make sense for them, and that's when they kind of hire better agencies in the process.
Okay. So I guess this is a function of like the bigger the agency is, the more contacts they'll have, and they'll have better places to publish articles, something
True,
along
true.
those lines, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Got it. Also, since we are living in this era of COVID and everything, how has the industry changed from before COVID to after, like during COVID? And is it been a good shift, or where do you see, how do you see the industry moving?
So I won't say it's affected too much for us, Arun. Luckily, we are in a profession where your work gets done on calls and mails. You pick up the phone, you call the journalist, you tell them there's a story, and probably they'll speak to a spokesperson, do a Zoom call, and then the story is out. So in that way, we are not too much affected, but we've worked with few companies where, for example, if it's a consumer B2C companies, where people have stopped coming to the outlet, and they don't have money, so they're gonna cut down on the budget. For example, if the marketing guy decides, I'm gonna keep this much for the advertising, I'm gonna keep this much only for the PR. So that's where the only time where we faced some issues. A few clients have paused work, but apart from that, I don't see a very big shift in the communication. It's almost been the same for us.
So have you
And it's
seen?
just that now publications are looking at webinars. They're looking at video interactions. So even publications have kind of transformed. So it's good to see that even PR people can, of course, work with the journalists and also have the same kind of build they used to have, and not too much of a shift per se as of now.
Okay. So, since I'm assuming some of the viewers of this would probably be aspiring PR consultants, can you tell us if there's an ideal background to have to make a career in PR?
So if you like people, if you like talking to people, I think you can pull off this profession. So you don't have to do a specific course. Probably, I mean, of course, if you're looking at getting plays, and maybe you'll have to shift your career, because if I had to get through PR, I couldn't shift from engineering because nobody would hire me. So I had to do a course. So you could probably look at mass communication or MBA in PR, which I did. And of course, if you like writing, this is one of the options that you can look at.
Okay, got it. So, how does one get started in the PR career? So, do we have to, like, can somebody just be a standalone PR person, or is joining an agency a better idea? Or, directly from college going into an established company where they don't do PR, but you're a standalone function? Which one would be the better route to go for after college?
So I don't know, I wouldn't say which is the better one, because I didn't try the other way around.
Okay.
So I landed in the college, and then I got placed, then I got in the agency in Bangalore. And so there are few people who would know of PR right when they're in college. When, for example, Ronak, okay, our friend, he knew what to do with designs right from college. So he did not wanted to be probably join an agency to understand the business. This is some kind of acumen that you kind of develop over the years. You may learn all by yourself, or you may learn from others. So if you think, if you like brands, if you like branding, if you like some part of marketing, I think PR, anyone can actually pull off this profession.
Okay. Also, I think I'll get to my last question. Is there any advice you would want to give to an aspiring PR specialist?
The advice is, be very, very loyal to your brands. This is something that I've been telling my other friends, my few juniors who join. You need to be really, really honest, okay, to the brand, and also to your clients. Of course, you will have clients if you're doing PR. You need to be really, really honest. If you're losing that honesty, okay, at some point, say something happened, probably it was not your mistake, people will not probably trust you again. When you lose that out, it's like a glass is just gone. You cannot say, I'm going to do better. Okay, it's not like you're still in college and then you say, I have another chance. Your honesty, if you spoil it, I'm sure you will probably not get there again, ever again. Doesn't matter.
Got it. Thanks for that, Renuka. I think that was really insightful, and it was amazing to have you here. And
Thank you, Arun.
thanks for your time as well. And I hope to see you again sometime soon.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.